Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Frank Analysis. I am your host, Franco, here with Indie Left News from the INN Network, Independent News Network. This is going to be a part two of our interview that we did last week, right? Where we talked about Breaking Point's quote unquote network and how it's full of oligarch affiliates and neocons. So if you want some background on what we're going to discuss today, I highly recommend checking out that interview. Other than that, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are caught up on how Crystal Ball, Sagar and Jetty have ties to all these oligarchs. Crystal Ball with Reid Hoffman, Sagar and Jetty coming from the Hudson Institute. But it gets deeper as they're expanding their network. You know, they're including the internet, the Intercept. The Intercept is owned by Piero Midyar. We should be concerned about that because of his ties with disinformation and all the other things that he's involved with. But first, let's have Indie Left News here from INN introduce himself. How you doing, brother? It's great to have you on.
Good to see you again. Good to be back. Hi, everybody. Hey, Franco's audience. Good to see everybody there. We've been working hard on this piece. Actually, we brought in some more firepower from the network to help out. We realized in taking a look at this network that there's actually a lot more here, like I talked about last week. So we're now going to start doing deep dives into each one of these affiliates, and we're going to do a piece on each one. This one specifically focuses on the funders, and then looks to try to clear up a question about Max Alvarez. I think we might have talked about that last time, but we wanted to actually write and publish his full statement, which we did in this piece here. So. Again, I really appreciate you bringing me back on and talking about this. I definitely think that people need to hear about independent media being sold as fully independent and user-funded. And actually, our next piece that's coming out is going to talk a little bit about exactly how they're user-funded and exactly how funded they are. And that's going to be an interesting piece in itself. So, let's definitely get into it. I'm excited to be back and talk to you always, brother.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you back on. And this is important, as you said, for the audience, all the listeners of Breaking Points, because this is not information that's disclosed by the host, where a lot of their money comes from, where a lot of their connections come from. And these are very deep connections. So here's the article that follows up with the one that we discussed in the last interview. This one's called Breaking Points Billionaire Funding Ties, the story behind Breaking Points and Max Alvarez. So this is in collaboration with you and Big Mad Crab, The Dissident, Reef Breland, who has a great show also, and Joe. So you're mentioning here briefly, the Hudson Institute, its ties with Sagar and Jetty, Crystal Ball and Reid Hoffman, David Sirota and APAC. And you also mentioned the Hoover Institute and the Lincoln Network, which has ties with Marshall and Sagar. So where would you like to start here in terms of Crystal Ball and Reid Hoffman? The video?
Let's go to the video, man.
Okay.
Go to the Joe video, because everyone's going to want to see that Joe video. It's absolute fire. It's great.
This will be my first time watching it.
It features some friends that you may or may not like. It'll be funny, though.
All right, let's go.
And Sagar, we have an amazing announcement for you. We are starting a brand new, totally independent show. Could not be more excited about it. We want to compete with CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. They've got endless resources, but we've got you.
Guys, if you haven't canceled your Breaking Points subscription yet, I don't know what you're doing. Get on it.
Oh, this one? Yeah, I think I've seen it already.
Promoting economic warfare and real warfare with China. Should not be giving them your money.
That's something else that we're really proud of, is that the audience has really different views across the entire spectrum.
No one's actually holding these fucks accountable because they brainwashed their entire audience into thinking that we should be going to war with China.
Breaking Points has been in a network with most of the same issues as corporate media, and he says got to give the viewers of Breaking Points what they want. So who is the viewers? This is a question they've asked. If China were to invade Taiwan, would you support the United States coming to Taiwan's defense?
Yeah, that's a right-wing China.
57% said yes.
Now we are able to partner with all these great people.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
So that's the main graphic for everybody together. Breaking Points asked the guy that's against forced to vote. What is happening over here with Breaking Points? Just weird, like conflicts of interest of him pushing the Democratic Party, and he happened to be married to a Democrat. And then there was one video I was watching when he was like, "Yeah, I know some Democrats," and I paused it. I paused it, Rome, and I was like, "What do you mean you know so many Democrats? You're fucking a Democrat." Yeah. Breaking Points as the team.
Yeah, not much else needs to be said about that one.
She put the right comment up for this next graphic, and that is for Marshall K.
Go fuck yourself, you fucking egghead nerd. I don't give a fuck about your committee shit. Why don't you stop saying that stupid shit?
That's directed at men.
It's a tumultuous time, it's a sad time, and it's a dangerous time. But there is not a reason to give up on the fact that every day, the harder we work and the more people that we expand and more, that we actually can change with the status quo. You know, change feels like it's not happening and then it happens all at once.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
What does this say to you? Does this scream revolution? Does this scream urgency?
We want to continue to upgrade this studio. We need to fix some of the lights.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar. Not everything's propaganda. Sagar is just an anti-China hack who comes from the Hudson Institute, which is one of the most anti-China conservative think tanks on the planet.
So look, guys, if you can help us out, you know, I know how hard you guys work, and I know how hard it is out there, inflation and all that.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
We need to fix some of the lights.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
You know, if you're used to consuming mainstream news content and you're not used to watching YouTube shows and you see something that has, you know, a more minimalist background or more casual vibe to it, then I think there is a natural instinct to be like, that's not serious, it's not real.
They have 80,000 people subscribed to them right now. Think of the minds that they are poisoning. Think about all the rage that people have built up inside of them that they are keeping down. They are letting out people fire.
And if you can really support us, become a founding member. It's a one-time payment of $1,500.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
So fuck Marshall, fuck Kyle, fuck all these people. These people are our opposition, and we need to treat them like so.
Shut the fuck up, Sagar.
Who are these people?
Awesome. Yeah, I like that little logo there at the end. Advertising INN. You guys are doing great work over there. But
Thanks, man.
yeah, thoughts on that?
Yeah, Joe's great. A great addition again. Big Bad Crab and Jesse collaborated on the outro, and that's actually Nancy Pelosi that says, "Who are these people?" And I figured if anybody's going to ask who the hell we are, it should definitely be Nancy. But yeah, I mean that's great. It does kind of talk a little bit about, you know, what they're pushing as far as talking points on China, a little bit about the affiliates and you know that they're not pushing for specifically direct action, specifically for getting out in the streets, specifically for mutual aid. Those are the big things. And of course, in 2022, you know, electoral politics, we've got to be focusing some of our attention on that, but minimal amount, preferably on uplifting independents, third-party candidates, on ballot measures, whatever we can possibly control. But again, most of our time, I spend most of my time on mutual aid and on amplifying everybody else's message. That's what I do all day.
Right, and taking power away from these corporations that are involved everywhere. Like I just discussed yesterday about how BlackRock and Vanguard Group own pretty much everything. And they own the companies that also control our election systems, our voting machines, which, you know, we went into last week when we talked about it, right? It's not just Dominion, it's also these other companies that control our voting machines. It's not transparent. We can't even prove whether our votes count. So, and we have to decide on whether to vote for one disgusting corporate monster versus another. So they're not giving us alternatives to that, right? It's just like, oh, vote for the Democrat or vote for the Republican. It's just talking heads, surface level information, not going deeper. But yeah, this follow up here with Crystal Ball and Reid Hoffman. What do you want to tell us about this? What did you guys find?
Well, there's a lot of things. First off, it's really funny. Liz Cheney today, you know, she's the flavor of the day, the flavor of the month, the flavor of the Democratic Party. The first thing that we learned was about Reid Hoffman's ties, and it's really not that hard to find. All you have to do is go to Open Secrets and start looking. Do a search for Reid Hoffman and search 2022, and you'll find a donation in February 22nd or so that spotlights a Liz Cheney $2,900 maxed out donation, Liz Cheney for Congress. So they're donating to Republicans. this was already kind of pre-planned, and her rise and ascent, they already saw what she was doing as far as being anti-Trump, and the Uniparty has been in full effect. Shout out to Whitney Webb, and credit to Whitney Webb for calling that. And I know she's far from the only one, but she was one of the first that I had heard back in Dark Winter, Event Horizon, the Horizon stuff, Event 201. That's how far back we go with Whitney and talking about what was happening here and how Democrats and Republicans are effectively the same. It's red and blue or theater, so that they could run off at the green.
It's a puppet show. It's a puppet show. The same lobbyists control both the Democrats and Republicans, just like they also control the Fox News and CNN. It's all a puppet show to keep people distracted and not focused on the real enemies of this country, right? But yeah, I have here what you were just telling us. He donated to Liz Cheney $2,900.
That's the maximum donation that you can make during an election cycle during the primary. And then now that she's won her primary, I'll bet that the next time that you see a filing, it's going to have another filing for probably a maxed out $2,900 from either Greylock or Greylock Partners or LinkedIn, which are the three entities that he usually donates from, which you can see there as well.
Jeez.
That's okay. So he uses different cutouts to be able to donate, and Greylock, one of them, you can see Tim Kaine, he's donating over $10,000 at a shot to that, and that's to a PAC, so that doesn't have a limit to how much he can donate. And you see the numbers. It's small to Liz Cheney, but the point is, he's still max donating to her campaign, officially, and he's putting on the record, yeah, I support her too. And I'm not really crazy about that. Of course, I'm not crazy about any of these people, but it's just further revealing that part of a corporate uniparty. And then look at Robert Reich yesterday. I mean, here he is coming out and making a case for Liz Cheney for president. Oh my God. They're doing the work for the billionaires, and obviously they're highly paid and they know what they're doing. I don't think that they don't know what they're doing, because they've been doing this too long to know.
No, they know. They just want to make money off of people who are suffering and who are looking for solutions. And then they find this channel, Breaking Points, which gets propped up by the algorithm. And then they think that they're doing something by listening to these people and by donating to them. They think that they're helping better news channels. But it's all still controlled by the same people because of these connections that the co-hosts and other members of this new network have with these billionaires. What's this here by Gumby? Sorry, you're going to say something else?
See, the other thing that it's doing is that it's sucking up the outer side. So between what we would call mainstream corporate media, right? Then you've got independent media that was occupying a lane, especially within YouTube, within certain platforms. And now that's also gone to this funded quote unquote independent media, the Breaking Points, the Hill Risings, the TYTs, it's I call it the IMSM. It's the independent mainstream media, still funded by the billionaires and by corporations in some way, but giving off the appearance of mainstream of independent and being user funded, bootstrapped. There was a person in one of our threads on Twitter who was sharing a video, and he uncovered that Breaking Points was taking in on average somewhere around $5 million a year just on their subscriptions alone, which is just wow. They have 40,000 subscribers apparently, and if you do the math of how much the monthly is on average, $10 per month.
Yeah. I saw
right.
that.
I saw that. That was a fire tweet. It's fire video. I definitely need to go through that further, and I want to take some points out of that, give him a lot of credit for that. But his name is Brad Stewart, I believe. Brad Stewart 347 on Twitter. He and we're gonna include some of that in our next piece, where we're also gonna do a deep dive into James Lee, the 5149 podcast, which is one that nobody's really heard of, and let's do a deep dive and let's take a look at exactly what's going on there. But we'll do that next.
So do you think that when people donate to, sorry to cut you off, when people donate to these outlets, like even if they do present themselves as independent, if they're donating like over $1,000 monthly or whatever, do you think that they should reveal where that money's coming from?
Oh well, I think that
It's kind of
they
like in a
should
gray
disclose
area,
it.
right? It's
It's
strange, right?
hard. I mean, yeah, it is because they're all private. But if
Yeah.
it's influencing their coverage, and so I mean, it is a hard thing. I mean, I look
Yeah.
with the amount of money these people have, and the amount of money around them, and the amount of money the show's already generating, they don't really need to take big donations at this point. They should probably be turning that stuff down just to maintain their integrity. I gotta be honest because with the amount of funding that they're taking, again, 40,000 subscribers, an average of $10,000 per month, $10 per month per subscriber. That's $400,000 per month right there. Now, not all of them pay 10. Some of them get a discount because they buy an annual, and it's staggered over time. So there's $320,000 per year on average, or per month. I'm sorry, $320,000 per month. Multiply that by 12. Okay, you're talking about $4 million per year between Crystal Sagar supporting. They need to get those lights. They need that desk. They got plenty of money to support those lights and that desk without having to, kind of everybody else begging for more. So the lifetime membership, that's the $1,500 thing. It's a one-time payout that gets you like their undying gratitude, which is kind of funny. That's what I put on my Patreon. It's the undying gratitude for $10 a month, but for them it costs $1,500 a lifetime. It's unbelievable. So yeah, you go to their page, and I've got a link to that, a screenshot in the next one. And again, I'm bleeding out the next one. But what we want to reveal now is Reid Hoffman, that he's giving to Republicans, and then of course we went through the super PAC last time, or the PAC that he had funded with Crystal for Crystal, where she had taken all that salary, and they hadn't really given money to candidates. So then you've got a link between Reid Hoffman and Crystal, and then you've got a link between Reid Hoffman and Pierre Omidyar.
Mm-hmm.
And the link there has been a 20-plus year relationship that started out when Reid Hoffman was at PayPal and on the board founding, and then he went to become an executive vice president there in 2000. And Pierre Omidyar was the CEO of eBay, which founded PayPal or spun it off. And so he was his boss at one point. They've done numerous projects over the years together. In 2017, they donated each $10 million, along with Phil Knight from Nike, $9 or $10 million to like some honesty and truth in robotics type of partnership or consortium. I mean, think tanks. This is what these guys, they've got so much money. They've got to figure out ways to kind of wash it out and make it disappear, and get their ideas and values and things across. So it's a little concerning to see the two of them kind of teaming up and collaborating, and all of what they call the PayPal mafia, and that includes Elon Musk, that now also control. He's going to be taking over Twitter, and then you've got several of these other guys. I was just reading about a guy who funded the recall against Chesay Boudin in San Francisco. He's another member, David Sachs, of the PayPal mafia. So all these guys are having heavy, heavy influence with the money that they made years ago, and you've got to watch what they're up to. But of course, we know what Pierre had been up to back in Ukraine back in 2014, and in the 2011, 2012, we talked about Alan McLeod and Mint Press News uncovering Maidan coup, and Alex Rubinstein doing deep dives on what Omidyar is doing with his influence network across the world in destabilizing governments to suit kind of intelligence interests. And again, now he teamed up with Reid Hoffman, who we covered in the last piece, also founded Good Information with George Soros. And now you've got a Soros link with Reid Hoffman, with Pierre Omidyar, and another. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that another member of the PayPal mafia is Peter Thiel. And
wow,
I'm there are no sacred cows in media and in the independent space, and I'm a huge
right
fan.
there.
I don't want to insinuate anything insipid or anything, because I have no evidence of anything. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of smears thrown at Glenn Greenwald, who I admire tremendously. But you have to look at the fact that he went from founding The Intercept with Pierre Omidyar, the Snowden case. He then jumped and he went to work for, effectively not work for, but he went on his own. But Peter Thiel is now his benefactor.
At Rumble.
Well, for Rumble, yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, who owns Callin? It's the guy David. What's his name? David Sachs. He's the founder of Callin. Another link.
This is the thing you guys link to here, right? The PayPal mafia. It has a lot of great information here about what the PayPal mafia is, the founders here, and their connections with all these other organizations, all these other corporations. Wow. Yeah, and all of them are also deeply tied with the federal government as well, and secret federal government programs that these guys are involved with. Yeah, we could go into so many different directions here, dissecting, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and his SpaceX, Tesla, all this stuff. Now, since we're on the topic of Piero Midyar, I pulled this up yesterday in my video when we discussed how Joe Biden was using the federal government to fund this program to push mainstream media as well as other influencers to show ads for the vaccine. For you guys know which vaccine I'm talking about. And I pulled up who owns which mainstream media companies. And for all of these, we see Fox, CNN, all these guys, you'll see the same names pop up. Vanguard Group and BlackRock. But you can look up who is paying for The Intercept, which is now deeply tied with Breaking Points in their little network. And we see The Intercept here has Piero Midyar, who's the founder of eBay. He owns The Intercept. And he also donates to many efforts around disinformation. Let's look into that in a little bit. Disinformation. What type of disinformation is he donating to? If he's a billionaire, it might be the kind that they label as disinformation because it goes against their status quo, the things that will keep making them money. He also donates to a lot of journalism, diversity in media through his foundation, such as Democracy Fund and Luminate. And here's what I found. He has a network that gives $100 million to boost journalism. And here, let me refresh that. I can't remember exactly what this said. Omidyar charity. His charity gives $100 million to boost journalism and fight hate speech. And that he also is donating a lot to this international consortium of investigative journalism. He also was part of this anti-disinformation lobby to monitor the French election. Also, left-wing billionaire Piero Midyar is funding an anti-Facebook campaign targeting online misinformation. This is back in November 2021. Now, that's not the only thing that he was involved with to try to push Facebook to censor more information. Because as if Facebook isn't already censoring a lot of information, and as if already through a court case, what's that journalist's name? I can't remember the journalist's name, but a journalist sued Facebook, and the court pretty much ruled that they have protected opinion. So the op-eds, so pretty much the fact checkers that Facebook uses are just writing op-eds, and they have protected opinion. So how is that really disinformation or misinformation if it's just the fact checker's opinion? Who fact checks the fact checkers? But we also see that Piero Midyar was aiding the Facebook whistleblower from earlier this year. You remember that, Indy? Francis Hagen. But so what Francis Hagen was trying to do is push Facebook to censor more, and we've talked about that before. But here's how Piero Midyar really feels about whistleblowers. This is an article that was written by Whitney Webb back in 2019. Another whistleblower bites the dust as The Intercept adds a third notch to its burn belt. So The Intercept has a horrible track record when it comes to whistleblowers. They all end up in prison. So it says here in this article, yet if Scahill evades any legal predicament, On his end, it will raise many questions, most notably one of double standard between his treatment of Assange's treatment by the Trump Department of Justice, especially considering that both Scahill and Assange's journalistic work has largely been unfavorable to government interests. But unlike Assange, Scahill's publication and work are funded by eBay billionaire and the owner of PayPal, Pierre Omidyar, who is very well connected to public and private sectors, as well as to U.S. intelligence communities. Omidyar's past public statements show hostility towards whistleblowers, whom Omidyar had likened to thieves prior to The Intercept's founding. That's unlike the Facebook whistleblower, which was approved to stand up there in front of the government and testify, right? To push some kind of agenda, to push for more censorship. If Scahill goes uncharged, it would likely be due to the intervention of powerful politically connected forces in the United States that are friendly towards Scahill, something Julian Assange lacks. Omidyar, given his ownership of The Intercept, would be the most probable person who could intervene successfully. And yes, when I had Ryan Grimm on this show, I asked him about that, and he was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what he thinks. So it's like, will you look more into this, Ryan Grimm? And I have yet to see that.
No.
What are your thoughts on all that? How how Pierre Omidyar is involved in all these disinformation, these lobbies that focus on disinformation?
I believe there's like is it an Upton Sinclair quote about a man, doesn't see what his paycheck won't allow him to see, or something like that, effectively. And that's, the answer is he's got a family. I hear that a lot about Ryan. That's what I hear. And yes, he's got a family. I've got a family too, but I've got another job where I'm not worrying about that. But okay. I think it speaks for itself, really.
I mean, this is the kind of mentality that people who work in mainstream news think. They're like, I don't want to know what the owners of this company really think about, what's happening in the world, about all these wars. I mean, they turn their brain off to that. So they're just repeating information that gets approved by the network.
Yeah, what we really want is people to understand the people that are bringing them the news and where they're coming from, their perspectives, their motivations, who's behind them, and why they're saying the things that they're saying. And that's why we started looking into to these people, doing these deep dives, and it's been revealing. We've learned quite a bit about each one that we did not know before. And then it's really just assembling and jigsaw puzzling a lot of facts and information that were kind of floating out there in little different places, articles that were written that did incredibly deep dives, that still only had, in the end, one part of the entire picture when you tie into, again, all the PayPal people and all the control of technology and all the control of entertainment that you see that this group is exercising. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, they're controlling everything. Like, they're controlling the narrative. They're controlling. They co-opt a lot of movements, right? We see people like George Soros and stuff that co-opt well-meaning people that join things like the Sierra Club and Sunrise and all that. And similarly, there's well-meaning people that want to listen to people that present themselves as independent news, like Breaking Points and Jacobin and The Intercept, but at the end of the day, it's still controlled by the same people that are heavily tied with U.S. intelligence, as well as other oligarchs. So, going back to your article here, Indy, you also bring up Max Alvarez. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I brought it up to clear his name because Reef, my brother Reef, and this is where Reef comes into the piece, and you can go back to our video also from Sunday night. We actually just released a clip of it on my YouTube channel and on my Rockfin channel, rockfin.com/INDLeftNews. You can get the full clip and you can hear Reef read his statement. But Max effectively said that he's a freelancer. That the Real News did not know that their logo was going to be there. The Real News has no affiliation with Breaking Points. Max is, again, being hired on a freelance basis to produce specific stories that are unique to Breaking Points, that have no affiliation to the real news, other than that it may include some content from the real news that Max was involved in making, or maybe not, because he wants to spotlight the content that they do and showcase it a little bit and give them a little bit of light on Breaking Points. But they're not being paid for it. They have nothing. He's being paid, and he revealed that he's being paid $300 per segment, and that if the segment does get any action, though he does labor and environment, and usually it doesn't, that he would be entitled to a little bit more. And I just think that for an organization personally that is earning the kind of money that they're earning at this point, that seems a little on the light side to me, to pay for stories and to pay for for reporters. Again, we're starting to look at, why are they going to these specific people? What do they have to gain at Breaking Points by aligning with them? First of all, some of them make excellent content. And again, Max Alvarez is incredibly well respected. He does absolute top work. And most people that heard that he was involved with Breaking Point said, really, man, that's really disappointing to hear. That was the biggest, most common response that we heard from several people in talking about this. And I'm just laying out the truth, and that's what I actually heard. The real news has nothing to do with this project whatsoever. They knew that Max was doing this on his own. They were okay with him doing it on his own, but this again is a complete side project on a freelance basis for Max Alvarez, and he's done 3 segments so far for Breaking Points, so he's made less than $1,000 in total. Yet he ended up tagged in this whole thing by the Breaking Points community. If you scroll down a little further, he actually embeds the links, and I put the link to the 3 segments in there as well. You can see, So I see you have up there the tweet. So, he revealed himself for $300.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So it's great that you guys included that, since you guys did include him in that list of people that are a part of this new network. With Breaking Points in the previous article. So it's great to clear that up. He's not strongly affiliated with them. He's not benefiting off of the corporate influencers that in the same way that Sagar and Jetty and Crystal Ball are. So yeah, great that you guys included that, and it's great on him too to be transparent and get back with you guys and clear everything. Give you guys an in-depth description, explanation about his part here.
So we appreciate that very much. Agreed. Yep. So those are the couple things that we did cover in this piece. And we've got, again, future pieces coming up that are going to cover several different angles. Again, each time we're going to talk a little bit about Breaking Points, but then we're also going to talk a little bit about the affiliates and each of the different affiliates. And again, we're going to start with the 5149 podcast. They do second thought style videos. And again, I'll come back another time. We'll go through that. I'm going to publish that likely in the next week or so. We're still waiting. Reef and the team are going to be on INN News this week, and they're going to cover the article and go through it in depth as well. This one. And we're gonna have a good time with that. I'm not even sure who's going to be joining us. There's rumors that we're gonna have a guest host coming in from non-INN, so that'll be awesome. Wednesday nights at 9. For sure.
So some audience members want to know more about Matt Stoller's background and his connection here with Breaking Points. Some people asked in the chat. So can you fill us in a little bit more on that?
Yeah, again, he apparently does have also connections to anti-China think tanks. There are some segments on Rising that are linked where he's talking about how, some little bit of bombastic terminology about how, we have to maintain a dominant type of edge over China. And I still think that I haven't heard personally about his Taiwan policy, but my guess is that he's probably going to be a little hawkish on that. Where he's fantastic is on monopolies and domestic stuff. He's more to the conservative Dem for sure, or to conservative DSA. I do again appreciate his business stances, but his foreign policy stuff, I just don't align with. And again, it doesn't really surprise me because his foreign policy stuff kind of aligns more with the Marshall Saga, and maybe even Crystal as well. I mean, we don't really hear Crystal talk that much about foreign policy.
I don't think she's as informed. She just repeats a lot of stuff that that the State Department approves. He doesn't offer any pushback to Sagar or Marshall's takes on foreign policy. So yeah, I don't think she knows where to look for better analysis on foreign policy.
Right. Yeah. Look, and it's funny because the people they brought in, David Sirota on foreign policy. I really don't hear him much talk about foreign policy. He focuses mostly on domestic. Jordan Chariton, doesn't really talk about foreign policy much. James Lee, again, we're still getting into exactly what his stuff is, but he mostly covers business, and he mostly covers. I'm still trying to figure out, but it's more from a lefty type of perspective. But there are some things that we certainly are asking questions about that we're gonna get into in the next piece. I can't wait to come back and talk to you about that for sure. Because I'm not done with the piece yet. That's the only reason I don't want to talk about it. It's not completed research, and I don't want to do injustice to the team that's working on that with me. We're also working on cutting a video similar to like what Joe ran and put together for this piece. Again, that's trying to reveal the hypocrisy, the inconsistency, the link of billionaire funding and ties. And the other thing that I spotlight here is the lack of showcasing any other alternatives. They're mad at the system. They don't like what's happening. They recognize it's a problem, but what's the solution? And they're really.
And do they actually understand the full scope of the problem? Right? They don't go deep enough into how, as we went over, Piero Midyar, Peter Thiel, or all these other billionaires, what programs are they involved with? Which politicians are they closely connected with, right? And they don't discuss things like Operation Warp Speed or the Great Reset until it's like too late, right? They're not making any deep dives like that, deep dives.
Yeah, and so James Lee, one of the last things he talked about, I think he talked about the Great Reset, he talked about the World Economic Forum, and he talked about the control of media. I'm going to drop. I will drop one hint that there was a big name and a big topic that was missing from his control of media video, and I have been searching his channel far and wide, and I can't seem to find a name that's mentioned. And maybe he's worried about getting demonetized or deplatformed, or what's going to happen, or what would anybody would say. But a certain guy who's sitting in Belmarsh, I don't really see mentioned anywhere on this guy's channel or anywhere in the realm. So, that's just a sneak preview of where we're going with that. And we're gonna find some other things there that we're gonna ask questions about, and maybe we'll find out that we're off. And I hope that we are. Believe me, look, we want more allies, but what we don't want are people who are coming in and claiming and acting as if they are allies when they are actually acting more on behalf of the duopoly, of the corporate interests, of pushing people into the current system, throwing your hands up and saying, well, what are we going to do? Because we have a pretty good idea of what we need to do. It's just that there's a lot of people that are saying, well, now's not the time. It's the incrementalism.
Well, Andy, I can tell you that there's been numerous protests that have happened in DC ever since I became more involved. And I haven't seen Crystal or Sagar at any of them. I haven't seen them even talk about any of them. Many of them include protests to help free Julian Assange. And they don't talk about it. They don't show up. I know people that saw Crystal Ball in person, told her about the protest. She said she was going to go, and she never showed up. It was one of my early interviews that I had. Steve from Seoul Newsday talked about Action for Assange's encounter with Crystal Ball, and she was like, yeah, I'll go, yeah, for sure, I'll talk about it on the show, and I'll interview you guys. But really, she was just saying that, I think, just to make them, not bother her.
Yeah, get out of the room. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Andy, I look forward to seeing, more covered about this. And I just want people to know, because we discussed this stuff, you can still find, truths in in any outlet. But you can find deeper truths in, the best outlets out there. They're going to be independent. They're going to do really deep dives into what's going on, not just cover the surface level. And they're not going to be, oftentimes they're not going to be co-opted or bought off. So here we have Indie Left Media. Here's his profile pic, right? This is what you wanted me to put up here. Here we have INN. Here's the network's logo. And here's all the members here. So you want to tell us more about this?
Yeah. So again, back
Great
last
people.
year, awesome people. So back last year, I got together with a big group of folks that I've been watching. We all watch their content, but we're all small independent content creators who we are missing amplification. We all have small channels, but we all have awesome messages, but different perspectives and not really being heard much. We all grow together. We all help each other with technology. We go as guests on each other's shows. We share each other's streams, and occasionally we collaborate on network stuff, whether it's a live stream to support somebody who's in need. We did that for the Student Debt Boycott Marathon. We're working on getting together to support the March for Medicare for All. We co-streamed that, the national online March for Medicare for All summit that Savage Joy held a few months ago. That was really cool. And then, of course, we do network roundtables. So everybody just kind of dials in and has a conversation. Again, you can see all the people that we collaborated with on this piece. So you've got Reef Breland, and you've got God, who else? Greg, Big Mad Crab, and Joe, who just joined us recently. And we keep growing, and I think we're going to kind of chill out for a little bit for a few months. And you can see we've got quite a few. Tommy Nation also joined. Jesse Jett started an exclusive INN show called American Tradition. That's actually going to be tonight at 10 o'clock on all the INN channels. So it's youtube.com/Indie News Network. Go to rockfin.com/INN. We just got a Rockfin channel like last week, so we're really excited about that. Everybody in the network is pumped. And you go to indienews.network, and that's all. You can find all the links to all of our channels for the network, as well as a link tree to find all the members and find everybody else's links, so you can find them as well and support them. Support independent media, support independent content creators, support Rockfin. We're big fans of Rockfin as well. We know what happened to you as far as being demonetized and YouTube basically stealing the super chats that were donated to your channel and freezing them. They've held them now for the better part of 18 months or 2 years.
Oh, they did end up giving me some of that money, but they take a large portion of.
Yep.
They take a large portion of the super chats that people donate to the content creator. So it's better for people to donate in other places. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been demonetized
still
for
demonetized.
over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the shadow ban too, it's really hard for people to find my channel.
Yeah, Tara as well. Tara Reid, the INN network member Tara Reid. We've been producing her live streams. Like she had a Mohammed El Mazi last night. Today she's going to talk to Igor Lopatnik at 9 o'clock Eastern for an hour on the politics of survival. This will be the politics of filmmaking. So please, if you can follow her, she's also on rockfin.com/Tara Reid, on her YouTube channel /Tara Reid Author. That's her YouTube. Tonight, again, we're going to have Jesse Jett, and that is our Jesse Jett. Again, Big Man Crab has been making all of our thumbnails.
This is hilarious.
Oh my God, so good.
The shark
Jesse's
thing on his head.
If you have not watched American Tradition with Jesse Jett, I'm the host. He asked me to kind of host a show because I love his music, and his lyrics just infected my brain all the time. I just love that dude. So he said, I want to do a show where I play some music and I talk a little bit with chat, and I talk a little bit about why I made the song, and maybe bring in some audience members, maybe have somebody else come on, play collaborative. I'm like, that sounds like an awesome thing. He's like, and I want you to be the host. I'm like, wait, what? Yes, but me, like, I'm the news guy. Like, okay. He's like, no, but you get me, you get my music. I'm like, I love it. Yes. So we figured out how to make that happen. We've already had 3 episodes, and it's one of the true pleasures of doing this that I never expected was going to happen. And I can just kind of sit back and watch this guy play some amazing tunes, acoustic. He does some spoken word pieces, and I just get to run the board and the stream and watch that and talk with him a little bit and do a little chat. And it's a little over an hour and a half. And this will be tonight, 10 o'clock. Again, rockfin.com/INN. We got a lot of people that are making some fantastic content and having a good time doing it, and seeing this family come together. And again, we've been talking with Nico as well and doing more things with MCSC, and I'm going to be going on Misty's radio show on Friday, and
awesome.
Was on with Sabby last week. Where again, this is a big family, and there is collaboration and there is cohesion on the left. You know, they talk about how this is such a dog and pony show. No, when you take the egos away and you're actually helping each other. You know, so we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to get started and platforms and some of the challenges that we're facing right now with regard to censorship. Tomorrow, Rob Durden, friend of the show as well, and another INN member, he was one of the inspirations behind starting this, as well as Nico and FHL at the time. They became RBN. We talked about how do we get everybody together. So tomorrow, Rob and I are going to sit down and talk about that.
Yeah, we have like a network of networks too, coming out with the best voices on independent media. It's great, man. Thank you for what you do. Again, like, here's everybody from INN. You know, I know most of these people. Look forward to meeting everyone else. But yeah, you guys are doing great work out there, Indy. And again, thank you. Anything else you want to let the audience know before we head out?
Let's see. So Reefer After Dark, and of course Extra Booyah. I know you've been on with Uncle Warren. He's also on our network, and a lot of people know Daryl from Black in the Empire, Noli D.
Yeah,
and
he's here.
Uncle Colin, Colin Radix Carter. Yeah, we've got so many people. Again, this is just a group of so many people that you know and love and watch anyway, and we're just all hanging out together now and try to do some things to make more fun content for you and to get better for ourselves and raise our game so that we can really fight this whole corporate machine. I mean, look at what we have to fight against. These billionaires that are funding now independent media space. And this is what I want to talk about before, was they're now taking up this outer lane that we used to sit in as far as independent media. Oh, look at this. Daryl's in the freaking chat. Oh, I love you, brother. I didn't even know. But so that's Black in the Empire. Everybody go follow Black in the Empire. Hopefully, whenever Daryl wants to do some more content, we're definitely going to be doing some content. Another thing I would love you guys to check out, Saturday night, Tara Reid did a stream with Eva Bartlett live from Ukraine. And I would love to see everybody see that. She was fantastic. I actually engineered that stream, and I got to talk to and meet Eva. It was such an honor. She does such great work. You know, she puts herself in harm's way to get the story for us and tell us what's really happening and counter the CIA talking points in the State Department and the things that Pierre is trying to fund and cover the wool on. And she just pulls the cover right off, and we love her for that. And hopefully we'll be able to do some more work with her in the future at INN. Also, shout out to Gordon Dimmack. You know, I wanted to give him a little uplift. I know he's been going through it lately, and you know, free Julian Assange. We're all carrying that torch, and he's been doing it a long time. And just wanted to give him a mention as well, because everybody give him a little bump and say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing out there and how long you've been doing this, because he's one of the OGs that I think from the beginning.
Yeah, Gordon Dimmick. Yeah, for sure. Real quick, before we close off here, I want to address this because there might be some other people that may ask this question too in the comment section. Is Breaking Points is a news show, not a propaganda/activist network. Why would they be pushing direct action? News is not supposed to push you, just inform you. This is from the Debate Me channel. They're supposed to inform how our election system is not working for us. There's plenty of news articles that discuss that. Inform about direct action events that are happening around the area. If they're not an activist group, we see Crystal Ball forming these panels with Katie Halper and Marianne Williamson about supporting candidates. That's a form of activism, what they think is activism, but it's not effective activism, telling people to vote and donate to certain candidates. So if she's doing that, trying to make people think that that's a solution to their problems, then why aren't they presenting the more effective solutions? Taking more money away from corporations, for example, opting out of the system, things like that. That's something that they don't believe in that. That's why.
I'd also ask why they're not reporting on any direct action or any protests that are happening around Washington, like you said, that are happening on a pretty regular basis and that need to amplify stories. And again, if you're independent media, you know that corporate media is not going to be covering that. What lane are you going to try to fill that is going to educate and inform beyond what corporate media is doing, to provide talking points that are not necessarily aligned with what certain interests are looking to align with? And it's funny, I know Carl's been feeling that way about Kim Iverson for a long time. He feels that way about Jimmy Dore, honestly. I know that Carl, that's Debate Me channel. Debate Me channel was actually a part of INN for a little while, and we respect him, and we agree to disagree, and we love Carl out there and appreciate him being out in the space as well and asking questions. It's just not, things work out sometimes, and that's part of being an independent content creator, is being able to come and go to a network that we're all adults and we all know
we can have disagreements.
Who we want to work with, again, and still have conversation. Absolutely, we need to have these conversations. 100%.
That's how we become more informed and understanding of each other. Rather than closing off and not talking to each other, or demonizing other people. Assuming the worst in others. But again, what we did here is show. It is good to present information so that we can question whether we should trust certain people. For example,
again,
Crystal and Sagar and all that, right?
Don't dismiss everything they're doing. Take it with a grain of salt. Understand
look deeper into the content. Yeah.
Understand their financiers. Understand, the background behind the content and behind the people who they're bringing on, and why are they bringing them on, and what role are those people potentially filling, and what information are they bringing that Crystal and Sagar don't bring on a regular basis? What blind spot do they recognize that they have that they're bringing somebody on for, and what is that? So again, I always appreciate you bringing me on and giving some light for Indie News Network, for INN, and for all my brothers and sisters out there. I love you all. I love amplifying your content. You too. I mean, you're always at the top of one of my leftist today. Whenever I'm putting out a Substack, it's just
such
a
an
nice
honor.
15, 20-minute clip out there. Definitely check out the Substack. It'll give you like a good 6-pack of things to look at for the day. Whenever I'm not completely exhausted or going on 3 shows a day or making a show or who knows what, I'm trying to still put those together. And you can find those at independentleft.news as well. That's my daily newsletter. That started the whole thing. That's where everybody's content gets aggregated in one central location. And we're pulling YouTube, we're pulling articles, we're pulling podcasts. And again, that updates every day at noon Eastern, once a day. And that's totally free. You can sign up for all this free. We don't ask for anything. We appreciate all the donations that people do give. We have small Patreon. We just got our 8th patron. So we don't have a lot of donations. I'm mostly funding all this myself. We are not billionaire funded, so I have no motivations beyond I want to expose the truth and get to who is telling the truth. And if they're not telling the truth, why aren't they telling the truth? And what's their motivation for not telling the truth? And let everybody know, and let the chips fall where they may. I'm not here to editorialize it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and everybody, you're not alone, as you can see in the chats, as you can see with these networks all coming together and stuff. And I know that you'll stay informed.